We'll move over now, though, to a guy that's embarrassing a lot of hitters in Major League Baseball, particularly Baltimore. To see, I know when we had an article that went up on Mason Miller. Love the title. I think it was Amongst the Clouds. Mason Miller is the brightest star in Oakland. That was Clay Snowden who wrote that title. Typically, I have to rewrite Clay's title, so I appreciated that one from him. It was good.
Nice job,
He went up against the Orioles in an extra innings game, so ghost runner on second, and just shut them down. Got a couple of strikeouts. The last one against Gunnar Henderson to close out the inning, and it was just 3 straight fastballs. Just I'm gonna rear back and fire, and you can't touch me. And he got fired up after. And if you look at that Oakland team that I said is surprisingly ahead of the Astros in the standings, and I mean, we shouldn't celebrate a 12-17 team, but considering everything in Oakland, that is overperforming in a large way. It's due to having this guy, Mason Miller, that's closing every big game for him. He's been unbelievable.
And that's the most exciting part of a lot of teams' games, right? Frankly, for the Rockies, that's exciting. The ninth, the light show comes out, and you close it out with a win, and you go home happy and feeling a little bit better about your team, despite where they might be in the standings. You know, you have a 2-hit game, have a 3-hit game, 2 singles and a double. There's not the same amount of excitement per moment as when you have 3 hits, but when you're closing out a ball game like that, like Mason Miller has been doing against a team that everyone regards as one of the best in the American League, strike out 2 guys that are doing really great, right? I think he struck out Cole Kauser right before that Gunnar Henderson one. Mason Miller, the numbers jump off the page, jump off the screen. He's been amazing. His last 7 appearances, all 7 saves, 16 strikeouts in 7 1/3 innings pitched. He has not allowed a run in his last 9 games. That's 11 1/3 innings pitched, 24 strikeouts. He's striking out more than 2 per inning. We just have never seen that ever in the history of baseball. Again, we're only 1 month in, so he's got a long way to go. But literally, if you were to sort on StatHead, which is what I use, I swear by it, and you were to look at a guy and say, all right, you got to have at least 10 saves, right? Maybe you had an abbreviated year. Maybe you were hurt. Let's just sort it from that. Minimum 10 saves. If you're looking at the greatest strikeouts per 9, the all-time greatest is Aroldis Chapman when he was still with the Reds, 17.7. And your boy, Edwin Diaz, was the only other guy just above 17 with 10 or more saves as a closer. Mason Miller, what we've seen so far, even though it's only been a month, we're talking an all-time great month for a closer so far.
Yeah, he's got to keep this up for us to actually say, oh, yeah, he's the best closer in baseball. But currently at this moment, he's one of those guys you hand the ball to and say he's got the most overpowering stuff imaginable. And then Edwin Diaz, he kept that strikeout per 9 over 17 for a full season in 2022 and ended up saving 32 games. Mason Miller, I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get. It's pretty crazy that he's gotten 10 opportunities, and the Athletics have 12 wins. I mean, that just shows you if they're winning, Miller's on the mound pretty much. I was surprised to see that they won a 1-run game today that I don't believe he was on the mound for. I'm guessing he just had been overused at that point, but he's electric. And when you have a fastball that's averaging over 100 miles per hour and then a slider that tunnels it really well, and hitters have to cheat. The only way you can catch up to his fastball is to cheat for it. And then he drops that slider on you. It's tough. And I mean, in the article we had here, there's some video of Aaron Judge just looking brutal against Mason Miller. And I'm sure Judge has had some ugly swings against a lot of guys this year with the season he's had. But I mean, he just looks, it's like varsity versus JV, and it's Aaron Judge. Miller's impressive.
We might as well start nicknaming Mason Miller the cheat code, because it's like he has the cheat code. Like you said, hitters, they need to go and cheat on that fastball a little bit. And it makes sense. Mason Miller, 86 pitches of 100 miles an hour or greater. That's most in the majors. 9 of the 10 fastest pitches that we've seen this season are from Mason Miller, and he has the fastest at 103.7, folks. Like, that's what this guy is working with. And so that's nice that, again, A's fans, they don't have a lot to be happy about right now. And so to go home happy after seeing their guy close a game out, one of, only, not only 7 saves, but 7 saves. There's a lot of guys with 8 or 9 ahead of him. But if you're looking at guys with 7 or more saves, he's one of only 4 right now that have not blown a save. So he's been very effective in that spot, totally shut down so far. And you really hope that continues. And maybe part of this question of him being the best closer in baseball, he's more than likely going to be an all-star this year for the A's.
Yeah.
If you are the American League manager, if you are Bruce Bochy down in Texas, your home ballpark, right? And because you're managing the All-Star game, if you're Bruce Bochy, are you giving the ball to Mason Miller in the 9th inning and during the All-Star game to get the final 3 outs to get against the NL?
I think so. The All-Star game, especially not the World Series, is not tied to it. It's about showcasing stars, and that's the moment right there. I'd, as much as I'm a National League guy, I would love to see the National League side have a lead by the 9th inning. To see Mason Miller be able to step out on that national stage after pitching most of this year in Oakland, where it's actually amazing the coverage he's even gotten considering the team he's on. But you give him a chance to blow some 104-mile-per-hour cheese by some guys in the Midsummer Classic. I think that's going to be an awesome moment. And it could be the lead into my final kind of note on Mason Miller. He's not a free agent until 2030, but he's a closer, and Oakland is in a rebuild. Would you consider, or should they consider, floating Mason Miller at the deadline? Because you would get a ridiculous haul for that level of a closer, and the value you could get back is probably more than a closer could ever give you in his years with the team. It's going to be a conversation. So what would your thoughts be on that? Do you just hang on to a guy this good, or do you take advantage of the hype?
Yeah, depending on what Major League Baseball and the other owners that I would confer with about this, because we know the optics would not be great for a move like that. Unless I was somewhat coerced and certain things were pointed out about it, you absolutely have to consider trading a guy when his stock has never been higher. Closer, the role itself is volatile. A pitcher throwing that fast, his health, absolutely volatile. You don't need to retain certain players, certain names, familiar faces, something that the Rockies do a lot, and it's worked for them on the business side. You don't need to retain those familiar faces to have fans continue to come out to the ballpark. You're going someplace new next year, and according to the owner, hey, people are going to be excited to go see the opposing team's players, right? So I think that would be great. I think it might be a little surprising to find out how much he could actually get, because I don't think we're looking at like 2 top 100 prospects, maybe definitely 1, but I don't know that it would be 2 and then a fringy one, because again, teams know about that volatility. But you know what? If you want to strike while the iron's hot, you're gonna have to pay somewhat of a premium, and I think the A's, I think they'd be helping themselves out in a big way to be really aggressive in this way, because to my knowledge, I don't know that we've ever seen any candidate for the Rookie of the Year award get traded in their year. I don't think it's happened at all. And so Mason Miller, is there a better chance that he wins the American League? Look, I'm turning the tables on you, buddy. You want to throw some hot questions at me? I'm gonna throw one at you. Are there odds better that he gets traded? Wow. I mean, are there odds better that he closes out the All-Star game than he wins the Rookie of the Year award in the American League this season? Which one of those two would you take?
I think there's a better chance that he's going to close out the All-Star game because I think he'll be there. And the way he's pitching, I think he'd be the choice. A reliever winning the Rookie of the Year is tough. It could happen for sure, but with some of the rookies that could be available, with Colton Cowser, we talked about the start he's gotten off to, Evan Carter, are those position players going to end the season with an F4, north of 5? In which case, I don't know if Miller does win it, but then again, if he stays on the Athletics all year, if they win 74 games, which is way more than any of us would have had, and Miller has saved like 45 games or 50, like he could save a ridiculous amount. Like I said, he's saved 10 of their 12 wins. He's got a shot. He's a dark horse. He makes me want to look at the Rookie of the Year odds and see if I can throw a little money on that, because those odds can be pretty long. He's going to be an interesting guy to watch this year. And just to give my take on the trade part of it, I think if you can get 2 top 100 guys for him, you probably deal him, because look, he had he had health issues in the past. That's why he's a reliever now. He was going to be a starter, and they converted him because of the health stuff. So ultimately, if you're the GM and you can get a couple of can't miss prospects that play every day or a starting pitcher, it's probably worth it. But either way, Miller is must-see TV right now. That's the bottom line through all of this. Is if you get a chance, if you're scrolling MLB.TV one night, it's a West Coast games, and you see, oh, looks like a save situation coming up, flip over, watch Mason Miller. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, that's a great call there, MLB Network, for flipping over for at bats, just the 9th inning for Oakland. Absolutely, yeah, you've got to watch that. Yeah, right now, if you're looking at Fangraphs WAR going into Sunday, Colton Cowser, other than Mason Miller, is the only rookie in the AL right now with 1.0 wins above replacement. So, the crop right now in the American League has been a little bit low. Mason Miller is off to a huge start. I think we know how this can go. I had a vote last year in the National League Rookie of the Year award voting, and James Outman got off to such a hot start that a lot of people, I think, just kind of shut things down and said, okay, he's number 3. When you go and look, and if you're looking at on-base percentage and slugging percentage, Nolan Jones actually was better than Corbin Carroll was. Granted, one did it for a full season, one only did it for 4 months. So it's interesting how these conversations, once they start early, they do carry a lot of weight. So I don't think it's completely out of the question for him to do that. But like you said, if they're winning 74 games and it's because of this guy, and he's electric, and maybe fans start showing up a little bit more there in Oakland, and all of a sudden you're like, man, this is a real marquee player. Is he? If you'd rather have stock in one rookie over another having a better career, I think everyone would pick Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, maybe even a Wilyer Abreu from the Red Sox, right? But right now, if we're just talking about 2024, I think Mason Miller as a Rookie of the Year award candidate, it's not bad. It is not bad, Ryan.
He's got a great shot at it. And you're talking about more people showing up in Oakland. I'm just thinking about the high tech light shows that we have everywhere. And what does that look like in Oakland? Like, what does he come out to? I'm sure there's not. Maybe they turn the lights on and off for a second. I don't know if they'll do much of anything when Mason Miller comes on.
Flashlight night. That's what it is. They're going to give away flashlights to everybody, or bring your own BYOFL. Bring your own flashlight, and you're right. They dim the lights and everyone just flashes them. Or like in Field of Dreams, for anyone that might not know, and it looked like there was a stream of cars driving. They were all sitting in gridlock traffic, bumper to bumper, so they just flip their lights on and off, and it's simulated motion. So there you go. All you need is maybe 100 people to go and just run their hand in front of a flashlight, and it'll look like the entire ballpark is lit up.
That's what I was going to say. That's probably about how many flashlights you can get in there, because I don't know how many people are showing up, even for Mason Miller. It might be a couple hundred. Yeah, we'll see how that looks. Now we'll be curious to see what he comes out to. So it's got to be a good song at least. Have something iconic attached to him. But Mason Miller, like we've said, definitely a name to keep watching throughout the year.